This video is sponsored by me and you. Find out more at the end. Hello everyone, my name is Apostle Alauddin. I make videos talking about my journey out of Islam and critiquing the religion in general because I want to help people, be it believers, questioning believers, ex-believers, or anyone else. Since I first started this channel and back when I used to post on TikTok, I've received a lot of hate mail. A lot of messages from angry believers calling me all sorts of names and wishing me all sorts of harm in this life and in the afterlife. Some even threatened me, going as far as explicitly saying, "You will be found and you will be hurt." Whether or not they meant it didn't matter, because their goal was to scare me into silence. When I first received all that hate, I did not know how to feel, let alone what to do. At first, I was angry and hurt, till I learned to accept that their words were not really directed at me specifically. They'd send the same vitriolic messages to anyone who they deemed to be an enemy of their prophet and their religion. So whatever they said about my voice, my forehead, or any speculation about my mental health or my life, it was all generic repetitive tropes. So I learned to not take it personally. But I still felt sad. I was sad that so many people can turn uncharacteristically hateful because of a holy idea, or because of their beliefs in God, or because of their fear of hell. And those are the same people I used to identify with to some extent. And I also felt sad for Muslims, because sentiments like these were common among them, and it's not unlikely for them to direct such intolerance against each other. Not to mention the deteriorating image and their reputation as a volatile people. I don't wish that for Muslims. But when it came to the threats, I didn't really know what to do. I couldn't dismiss all of them and not take them seriously, even if they're sent from faceless accounts. All it takes is one psycho to ruin my life or a family member's life. It's unfortunately not uncommon for vigilante believers to target vocal ex-Muslims and dox them online. And at the same time, I was too timid to involve the police because I didn't want to negatively affect my legal status in this country. Surprise, surprise, I was an immigrant. I didn't have the confidence that citizens have to go to the police. I didn't want to make a noise and bring negative attention to myself, which could affect my chances of staying in the country, which could result in me going back to the Middle East. Even if I was closeted and safe, that would be the end of my channel. I would no longer be able to be vocal. It would be too dangerous. Side note, a few months ago, some loudmouthed and privileged YouTubers mocked me for wearing a mask while living in a secular country. They couldn't fathom why I might need it. This is just one of many, many reasons why I wear a mask. There you go. There's your answer. Wisdom chases them, but they are faster. Smash that like button if you know someone who wisdom can't seem to catch. Anyway, back to the story. I was used to getting so much hate mail, be it insults or threats, and I learned quickly to not engage and to not take it personally, but I understood that whether or not these threats were legitimate, hiding my identity is essential for my safety and the continuation of my work. 2 years ago, I received several messages that were like nothing I've ever gotten before. I opened my DMs to find a bunch of angry voice notes. At first, I had no idea they were angry. They just all looked like this. And they sounded like this.
أولاً السلام عليكم وانت ما تحتاج السلام فأعطيك أحسن تفلة بوجهك عليك. اسمعني عدل. أنت الحين اللي قام تتهاجم على دين الإسلام.
Y'all, the whiplash I got, I thought I was receiving a heartfelt message in Arabic, but no, he took it in a completely different direction. And I wish that I had more of the conversation saved, but all I have now are a few snippets and screenshots, which I'll share here. But be warned, if you understand Arabic, you might hear some offensive words.
يا خاين يا واطي مشرد ما أدري وين أنت قاعد في أمريكا ولا قاعد بالسعودية بس بنطلعك وأهلك مو دارين عنك.
The man insulted me and called me all sorts of names, said that I'm a disgrace to my family and that I'm probably hiding from them. He speculated about my nationality and threatened to find me and my family and expose me.
والله العظيم ولا خلق السبع السماوات والأرض اسمعني يا الخنزير يا ابن الخنزير زين لو احنا ما طلعنا معلوماتك واسمك الكامل وما طلعت صورك وعنوان بيتك واسم ابوك واسم امك واهلك كلهم وانا تكلمت مع ابوك وامك قدامك على فضايحك والله العظيم انت راح تندم اليوم اللي انت سويت هالغباء كله.
His mention of my family made me furious, and the fact that he felt empowered to say all that boldly with no shame or fear, with his name and picture on his profile, that really pissed me off.
ومستانس على نفسك ما قاعد تسوي فتنة وقاعد تخرب الدين ما تستوي على وجهك انت الدين تمت اكثر منك والنبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم سوى اكثر منك انت منو انت عشان تهاجم الرسول انت منو انت عشان تهاجم الاسلام انت منو انت.
Meanwhile, I had to hide from people like him, and I had to hold myself accountable to a higher standard of morality and behavior. Sometimes you just want to fight fire with fire and start hurling insults back at them, but I refrained. I tried to search for any information I could find about him using his name and username, but all I could find was an old YouTube profile. In it, he had playlists of classic hip-hop and guitar solos and old Arabic comedy plays. I expected Islamic lectures and jihad glorification, but he seemed like a regular guy with regular interests. What would compel a seemingly normal dude to behave this way? Now, a smarter man than I would have put down the phone and not engaged with it further, but by definition, I was not a smarter man than I. That's impossible. So I listened to all of his messages and I responded. I was angry that he was implicitly threatening my family, and I wanted to know what got him so riled up that he would act in such a way that even he might find un-Islamic.
وانت يا كلب يا واطي يا خنزير.
So I listened, and I answered. At first, I thought it was the usual, how dare you talk about my prophet sort of spiel. You could leave Islam, but you can shut up about it, and so on.
تبي تطلع من الدين الإسلام اطلع. ما حد موقفك. فاهم ولا لا؟ ما حد موقفك. الدين أنظف منك. تبي تطلع برا الدين اطلع. كيفك؟ بس جاي أنت تهاجم وتدلس وتسوي أشياء بغباء ولا عندك علم دين ولا فقه بالدين وأنت عارف بنفسك يا المنافق يا القذر يا المنحط.
And yes, there was that, but there was also a specific detail that could have been the catalyst for his behavior. He said that because of me, a bunch of children that he taught Quran to were distressed and physically injured. Because of me and because of people like me.
ترى شوف ترى كما تدين تدان واشكالك الوسخة مثل باستيت بروفيت وذول الناس الملحدين يسبون الله وتابعين هواهم يشربون ويلوطون ويسوون المنكر والنكير ما ينفع ويانا.
His barely coherent rant was just one insult after another, laced with conspiracy theories and accusations and topped with the promise of consequences.
ثالثا قاعد تتهاجم على دين الإسلام. ما أشوفك تتهاجم على الصهاينة. ما أشوفك قاعد تهاجم على الماسونية. ما قاعد أشوفك تهاجم على الناس اللي قاعدين ورا الظلال الماسكين البنوك في أمريكا ولا عند جنود الدجال. يلا ليش ما تتكلم؟ ليش ما تتكلم يا المنافق؟ ليش ما تتكلم يا الدجال؟ لأنك أنت أصلا خسيس وحقير وواطي وما عندك ولا كرامة فغطي نفسك في الضلال.
He said that he won't physically hurt me, but he's going to dox me.
فتذكر كلامي عدل والمخانيث اللي جنبك يحمونك الأمريكان والترولز ما راح يحمونك. قسما بالله العظيم ما راح يحمونك. بس أنا ما راح أمد إيدي عليك. لا 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 ولا راح أسوي شيء ذي الشيء. بنفضحك. تبي الشهرة؟ تبي الشهرة يا قواد يا الزنديق؟ بنعطيك الشهرة.
I responded to him not because I hoped to fix him or make him apologize for every terrible thing he said, but because I had other goals. First, I wanted to assess whether his threats towards me and my family were credible. Because even if he wasn't threatening to kill me, just doxing us and sharing our identities and addresses might result in someone else trying to harm us. I responded for a bit, and once I realized that he likely knew nothing about me, I worked in a few false hints into my responses to throw him off of my identity. So he could have been a real threat, or he could have been just a nuisance. Either way, I should have cut contact right then and there. But I couldn't help myself. My curiosity overpowered me, and I just wanted to understand. I wanted to understand what would compel a person to behave this way. And I wanted to understand how something I said could have resulted in children or adults being harmed. I wanted to know if there was any legitimacy to that accusation. As you can imagine, it was very difficult having a conversation with him. He kept trying to pull me into a call with his buddies, and I, of course, refused. I reminded him that he did not conduct himself in a way that deserved my attention at all. He was in no position to demand a call. And I made it clear that I was giving him a chance to productively communicate, because I truly wanted to understand what he was talking about. With great difficulty and effort, I managed to piece together from his messages what happened. He worked at a school where 2 Muslim kids were bullied and beaten up by other kids, who taunted and teased them about horrible things in Islam, like the Prophet Muhammad marrying a child. And he blamed people like me, an apostate prophet, for what happened.
أنا الحرني مو على أساس إن أنت طلعت من الدين. خرع عليك خرع. شامني فيك على الدين. مو هذا. أنا المعصبني إن عيال الجيران ولا أنا كنت قاعد أدرسهم الدين وأعرفهم عمرهم 10 سنين و11 سنة قام يبكون عند أبوهم ويو عندي قاعد يبكون. هذا اللي جرح قلبي إن أنت عورت وجرحت طيور الجنة أطفال أبرياء من كلامك الوسخ يا الحقير يا المنحط. والله العظيم بوريك.
I immediately told him that I feel bad for those kids, and I understand why he would want to take out his frustration on me, because he can't really put the blame on the bullies, they're children as well. But I repeated my question, what did I say or do to cause this? Can he point out a video and a timestamp? Not because I wanted to vehemently deny any blame. If I am to blame, even unintentionally, I wanted to know. I told him that I'm not going to stop discussing Islam critically, but if there's a mistake I made, I want to know. If my manner of delivering information is unproductive, I want to know. He wasn't able to pinpoint something I said, but he kept mentioning apus, which is a derogatory name for apostate prophet, commonly said in Islamic apologetics YouTube. To which I said that we are two different people, and that he's currently talking to me, Aladdin. So if he wants to say something productive to me, now is his chance. I don't read every comment, and I definitely don't respond to every comment. So he had a unique opportunity to give me honest-to-goodness feedback, which I was receptive to. He said that all of my criticism is based on hadiths. That's not true. And that hadiths are falsified and cannot be trusted. And that I know this, but I use them to make Islam look bad.
وانت عارف بنفسك يا المنافق يا القذر يا المنحط ان في بعض الاحاديث زورت في زمن دولة العباسية منو زورهم الزنادقة وانت يا كلب يا واطي يا خنزير ما تتكلم عن ذي الشيء.
For those who don't know, hadiths are the alleged accounts of things the Prophet and his close followers said and did. They're not regarded to be the preserved word of God, unlike the Quran, but they're very important in Islam. But he's not the first or the last Muslim to think this way. Some Muslims pick and choose which hadiths they like, and some dismiss hadiths altogether and call themselves Qur'anists or Qur'an-only Muslims. Unlike Sunni Muslims who take the Qur'an to be the primary and hadiths and seerah to be secondary, they only acknowledge the Qur'an. It's a way to believe in Islam while shedding off many, but not all, of the ugly and morally questionable stories in it. Some people are able to believe as a Qur'anist for the rest of their lives, and some end up using it as an intermediate stage before they let go of religion altogether. I could not get myself to believe that way, because the majority of Islam is built on these secondary sources. The Quran on its own is an indecipherable collection of rambling and disjointed topics. Without the tafsir, the exegesis, which relies on the secondary sources and scholarly interpretation, the Quran is even more of a mess than it already is. If someone believes as a Quranist, that is their cross to bear. I'm not forcing them or anyone else to stop believing, but it is short-sighted and possibly disingenuous to chastise people like me for critiquing mainstream interpretations of Islam, as if the only Islam that exists is Qur'anism. Most Muslims are not Qur'anists, and most beliefs and practices in Islam come from the Hadith and Seerah. I critique the things that Sunni Muslims believe, which are the majority of Muslims in the world, and also my background as an ex-Sunni. I don't trust the historicity or authenticity of Hadiths and Seerah, but I was expected to when I was a Muslim, and many Muslims still trust them, so it's all relevant for critique. Going back to the story, I tried to explain all that to him. I wasn't digging up obscure interpretations to slander Islam, I was commenting on what Muslim scholars say. I've dissected videos by Omar Suleiman and Yasser Qadhi and other Muslim apologists in which they make excuses for child marriage. So I asked my harasser, why are you angry at me and not at them? Why are you threatening me, but you wouldn't threaten them or their families? Because he couldn't point to any instances of me inciting hate, I'm guessing that he was angry at the source of the information. Perhaps he was angry that so many Muslims make him and his religion look bad, but he can't do anything about that. So he focused on the next best thing, an apostate citing the source. And while he may not believe all the same things that Sunnis believe, he seemed to share their negative and inflammatory views on people like me. Those views are confirmed when he comes across popular vitriolic apostates on the internet, but he wasn't willing to accept that they're not the only type of apostate there is. Perhaps when a sheikh talks about the problematic things in Islam, that information is less likely to reach the people who could use it to bully Muslims. Maybe that's why he blamed me, not the sheikhs. But I make it clear through my tone and my words that I don't encourage bullying or harassment. I'm critiquing the ideas. Nevertheless, I still wanted to know if I had a role to play in the harm that happened. We had a back and forth over several hours where I reiterated all what I just said, and he failed to find a way to blame me. Towards the end of the conversation, he tried bargaining, claiming that he won't dox me if I promise to be fair. To which I said, you don't have anything on me, and I'm already fair, so I'll continue with my approach. He then apologized and deleted hateful comments that he left under my videos, and told me that he did all this because he was angry about the hurt children. I empathized with the children and their parents, and I asked if there's anything I could do to help them, but he said that he had it handled. I think that's as happy of an ending as I could hope for in that situation, and while I do not encourage that you engage with such a threatening person like I did, I'm glad that I persevered and somehow got to him, even if it's just a little bit. I hope that he challenges his beliefs going forward and that he finds healthier ways to deal with his anger. So why am I sharing this story with you? It's important that you're aware about the hazards of this job. I hope that it's clear that this is no walk in the park, nor is it easy money. This is a job that tests my beliefs, my patience, and my emotional regulation every single day. It tests my belief in the goodness of Muslims and humans at large, and it puts me at risk, not only at the risk of harm and constant hatred, but also at the risk of turning into a different person, a worse person. So far, I haven't allowed that to happen, and I hope to never allow that to happen, but I can understand how being under this kind of vitriolic and unfair scrutiny all the time turns many vocal ex-Muslims sour. This story also speaks to the importance and the danger of dissent in Muslim communities. So for those of us who can dissent, I encourage you to do it safely. If you're interested in celebrating dissent and highlighting its importance, consider attending this event in Norway on August 31st. I plan to be there on one of the panels, and I'm really looking forward to it, so I hope to see you there. Link is in the description. I know that my approach might be puzzling to some people. As some sour individuals in their audience would say, why should you be kind to people who want to harm you? But that's simplistic thinking. I never advocate for turning the other cheek. That's what Jesus said. So take note, Christians. And I'm not advocating for being kind to the person who's being abusive towards you. What I am advocating for is finding a productive approach for yourself and for others. I recognize the harm that manifests because of religious beliefs, including Islam, but simply repeating that in the most obnoxious ways won't fix the problem. It might even exacerbate it. In order to fix the problem, you must first understand it. And in this case, the problem wasn't just this man believing in Islam. He felt misrepresented by the discourse surrounding his religion, and he felt protective over the people who he thought I harmed. And because a lot of content that is critical of his beliefs and his identity is phrased in demeaning ways, he was always defensive and didn't have space to turn his scrutiny inwards. Of course, there comes a point where it's a wasted effort. Not everyone is worth talking to, and I don't encourage sugarcoating, critique, or lying to soften the blow for a believer. I try to say what I mean in the most productive way for all parties involved. I don't dismiss or downplay what Muslims and ex-Muslims go through in order to placate believers, nor do I shy away from critiquing Islam in a funny yet thought-provoking way. Another reason why I'm sharing this story is to share his side of things without giving him a platform and without playing into his narrative. He saw me as the epitome of evil and, of course, the enemy, but I refuse to see him that way. Though I disagree with his conclusions and his approach, it is important to understand how he thinks so I can figure out how someone like him could be receptive to changing their mind. If I simply dismiss him as a shitty religious nutjob who tried to terrorize me into silence, there's little I can gain from that. He'll continue behaving the same way, and so will everyone like him. But when I understand his motivations and his flawed thought process, I am able to use it in my favor to better explain to someone like him how someone like me thinks. Perhaps this video or any of my other videos will reach someone like him and play a role in changing their harmful beliefs and their behavior. There's more depth to most people than the categories that they fit in. Of course, there are stubborn jerks who cannot be reasoned with, but most people aren't unidimensional villains. So taking a principled stance and trying to brute force your view, no matter how correct it is, does not always fix things. Even if you're selfishly looking out for your interests and not theirs, it's in your best interest to learn how they think instead of shouting back at them and expecting them to disappear. Such people will never completely disappear. But when you effect positive change, even on an individual level, you're disarming them. You're reducing the confidence that they have through numbers and echo chambers. You're contributing to an environment where your ideas can flourish. And I want to spell it out clearly for those who will accuse me of being too soft or that I'm making excuses for him. I'm not. And I'm not saying that he's just a harmless little guy who had good intentions. I'm imploring you to see all the shades of color beyond black and white. That is the kind of simplistic good versus evil, saint versus devil sort of religious thinking that I left behind. So if all that you gain from watching my videos is that Islam bad, atheism good, then there must be something that is lost in translation. One reason I work so hard on this channel is to communicate with you how people like me think, and to honestly portray how people who disagree with me think. I don't claim to have all the answers. What I'm offering is a nuanced perspective. You cannot fight and win against something you don't understand. So in the pursuit of justice and truth, nuance is your friend. And I'm definitely not telling people to do the same thing I did. If you're being threatened, get away from the danger, don't engage, call the authorities if you can, and don't take huge risks. I did it so you don't have to. Oh, and please don't try this again. I'm not answering threatening DMs or any DMs for that matter, because I cannot be accessible to everyone all the time, though I do read DMs sometimes. But if you would like to have conversations with people who think similarly, consider joining our growing community on Discord. All you gotta do is become a patron or YouTube member and follow the links in the description. Thank you to all my supporters and community members and everyone who's helped me along the way. I could not do this without you. If this video spoke to you, let me know in the comments below, and consider supporting me in my efforts. And as always, think critically and think for yourself. And maybe watch one of these videos next.